There's nothing wrong with having a plan. There are just good plans and bad plans. Is this one of those combats where the whole game could end? Personally, I don't think every single fight should be that. By kind of running through these different things, now, if something else happens that's not one of these things, odds are we've thought enough about the encounter and what could happen that we can be flexible about what happens next. I see this a bunch. Don't have a plan. Like, ha 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 ha, don't have a plan as a DM. And it's just, you know, it's fine. Like, I get what people are saying when they say it for the most part, but I think it's one of those, again, it kind of gives the wrong impression that everybody's always constantly improving and stuff like that. And that's not really true unless you play a very particular type of game, which is, I think, the vast minority. You know, the just like off the dome, extemporaneous, like we all improv, even the DM is just making stuff up all the time. I think that game is really rare. The key is that we just have to make sure that we talk about planning the right way, planning for the right types of things to happen, and not planning with a bunch of assumptions. Planning with assumptions about what people are going to do, that's bad planning. But the problem isn't the planning. There's nothing wrong with having a plan. There are just good plans and bad plans. You just don't want a plan that ever hinges on the player specifically doing one thing. The shorthand that I know for it is if you're planning something, plan out the details of the encounter, and then, okay, here's what happens if, you know, the players win. What happens if the players lose? Let's think through that. And then maybe if something really off the wall happens, like what would I do if something weird happened, unexpected happened? Maybe they finish the encounter super quickly, then this other thing happened. It's just a matter of considering multiple outcomes and not pigeonholing your DM prep or your DM planning into like, okay, so this will happen because after they defeat the boss, it's like they might not defeat the boss. Then what are you going to do? Something truly unexpected happens. So if you've got a combat encounter with the villain, the players are going to fight, let's say the minor villain it's not a campaign ender, it's just a minor villain. They're saving the town from this crazed wizard trying to take over the town. Plan the encounter and then have something in mind to say, okay, if the players win, the wizard perishes, then his tower crumbles. Then consider, what if the villain wins? Is this one of those combats where the whole game could end? I think it's a question that's really important to ask as a DM. Personally, I don't think every single fight should be that. Losing is a unique opportunity, both to change the direction of a story, to ratchet up tension, to make some new challenge or development that the characters otherwise wouldn't experience. If the wizard wins, his tower remains. Maybe the wizard puts them all into little potion bottles or something. Maybe the wizard, you know, traps them in his dungeon and they become caged up with, hey, look, it's somebody else that they hate who's also trapped here with them, and it's an unlikely ally, and now they're going to escape the wizard's jail cell. What if something truly unexpected happens? Something truly unexpected could be, what if one of the players, I don't know, they've got a one-time use magic item that they can potentially, if the dice rolls a certain way, banish one enemy to another plane of existence. Just bloop, gone, combat over. Maybe just a series of rolls and a really clever idea, and they completely charm the wizard over. Probably the first thing is going to happen. Most likely, the players are going to come out on top. With a few of these things considered, I would say you're probably going to be ready for anything that the party throws at you. Trying to extract and remove any of these assumptions from your encounter planning, because making assumptions is typically what gets us in hot water, right? That's where we end up going, I really thought you guys would go down the right-hand hallway, right? So let's use an encounter that I've run. This was during a prologue session, so this was a first level druid. But it's a set of stairs. It's in the middle of a forest. It's sort of a small stone structure. And they walk down these stairs and they see a single goblin. This is actually a fairly threatening encounter for one character, because this is a situation where we can't make any assumptions. This is like one of the most dangerous. The stakes will never be higher for your game or for your player than in this moment. If the player wins, in this case, the goblin's loot, right? A trinket or something, some sort of healing item. Could be that the player took a beating in that, some sort of clue or plot hook for the future. Something that's going to tie into the larger world. That's all if the player wins. Great. What if the goblin wins? This may be the far more likely outcome. Let's just say the goblin can't miss. The universe has decided that this druid doesn't make it past level 1. Well, that's not very much fun for the prologue for this character, right? This is where I fall back on health being more flexible. A single PC's health isn't only hit points. Hit points are typically where we start, but a goblin could also attack inventory. A goblin could also attack gold. What I might do here, winning for the goblin means it gets away with something shiny. It's only one goblin, and goblins in a group are going to feel pretty powerful. But a goblin that's all alone, it's going to take the opportunity to probably take something and get the heck out of there. They may wake up and see that their sword and shield are gone. In the case of a druid, maybe it's their druidic focus. Something meaningful has been taken. PC survives, but it's the last of their armor, right? Maybe that's the explanation for how did they survive? Well, your armor just got completely trashed and destroyed, so you're going to need to, your armor class is down. There's also an opportunity of the druid could use nature or survival to track the goblin down. If the PC loses, there's just more game ahead of us, right? And this game now has stakes that have been ratcheted up. What if something truly unexpected happens? The druid looks at their hit points, and maybe they hit successfully, but they go, hey, can I wild shape into a spider and find a place to hide? Sure. In my experience, this kind of stuff in solo one-on-one encounters is going to happen a lot more often, because players are going to be able to think about, well, I'm not invincible, I don't have anybody to back me up, so if this is going badly, how do I get out? How do I get out of it? So let's just say, okay, well, maybe now the druid is able to observe whatever the goblin was here to do. Maybe the goblin leaves something behind. So by thinking about this one-on-one encounter and saying, okay, well, I kind of know what happens if the player wins. Here's the loot that's going to be there. By kind of running through these different things, now, if something else happens that's not one of these things, odds are we've thought enough about the encounter and what could happen that we can be flexible about what happens next. Hey, Ryan just joined. What is going down? We are session planning and designing. This is preparing to fail. Tonight has been how to approach downtime. We designed a helpful NPC, sort of we basically created an outline for a dragon NPC that the players could uncover through gameplay, and that'll be in the notes attached to the VOD for this live stream. And right now we're talking about one-on-one encounters.